Have you ever wondered what was actually going on in this country when it comes to the election for Trump versus Biden? Right? We have this media organization that works, even though they say they're independent, all work collectively to take any piece of positive information, any piece of negative information, any piece of neutral information, and manipulate it to not only fit their agenda, but to also get views and so that they can make money. Cool, I get it. Making money is awesome. Have fun with that. But what's actually going on? What is the truth of the situation? Well, we take a look at the actual data from YouTube to see, get one piece of information, and we run a series with multiple different pieces so that we can bring together what is actually happening between YouTube search volume and Google search volume, YouTube channel, Instagram, Twitter, and other places to see who's actually winning. And today we're going to go through the YouTube channel ranking to see who's actually winning. Now, with that being said, if this is your first time here, what's good? My name is Sam, and for those of you who are returning, that's good to frickin' say, yo. Okay, let's get into the video. So over here on the left, we have Real Clear Politics. So they aggregate polling data from different organizations to one spot so that somebody hypothetically could come here and just be like, oh, look, there's 8 different organizations. I've heard of 4 of those or 5 of those. I'll trust that. And say that that is representative of what the collective of America thinks. Right? Seems pretty valid. Seems like an intelligent thing to do. But let's dive a little bit deeper into that before we get into the numbers for YouTube. Well, this aggregation here goes from the end of June, last 3rd of June, up until the 7th of July. Today's the 11th at night of July. And we've got Rasmussen, YouGov, which is part of or affiliated with The Economist in some way, The Hill, IBD, Mammoth, CNBC, USA Today, NPR, right? You're like, oh, I've heard of 4 of those, or I've heard of all of them, or whatever the case might be. And one of the things that comes across when you do polling is that you introduce a lot of biases. You can Google that yourself and see all the different biases that come up when you are doing polling, when you are doing surveying of some sort. And that's in the sampling of the data, how you stratify that based upon like you're gathering certain type of data, and then you have to stratify that based upon like they'll use some type of like population parameters to come up so that it looks like what's actually happening. And being somebody who's studied statistics for quite a while, and there's many different ways to manipulate that data. I could take the same data and paint a different picture if I wanted to. It's pretty simple. It's not that complex if you know what you're doing. And I'm not saying that's what they're trying to do. It's just possible. And then you layer on top of that some type of organization that we touched on at the beginning that has their own agenda that they want to put forth. They have their own biases. So we have biases in how the data is captured, and then we have a organization that has their own biases, and then there's like the people who actually do the work for capturing the data, whether it's automated or there's actual people who are doing the interpretation of the data, and they have biases. And if we look at these, somebody would come to this site and think, oh, well, clearly Biden's substantially ahead. Every single poll that's coming out, and I've heard of 4 of these companies, and Biden's leading every single one of them. All right, Biden's winning. Cool. Check back in 4 months, right? However, let's take a look over here. This is the sampling. So this is basically how many people are asked. or respond. And the latest poll from Rasmussen has 1,500 people. So what that means is, as a percentage of the population, if you went 0.00000, and then it's like 0.5 or something, you sampled that much of the population, and then the media takes that and says, this sampling of 1,500 fucking people represents what? The collective of 330 plus million people think? But there's no talk of all the biases involved. There's no talk of the twisted agenda on there, whether you think it's left or you think it's right. Right? It tends to be on one side, but I'm sure both sides do it. So what's going on here? There's a poll here from Mammoth, which 733 people. 733 people that the media reports on, that represents the heartbeat of America. Yeah. Like, I'm not making this up. This is actually what happens. So I wanted to dive in to actually understand, and we take a look at 3 separate factors on YouTube. We take a look at Instagram. You can go over here, press the subscribe button, the bell notification, go back to the channel. You can see the other analysis that we do. But let's dive a little bit deeper. So this is Rasmussen. This is, if you click on the report here, you can bring this up here. And I want to show you where everything's coming from so that you, as an intelligent fucking human, can go look all this stuff up for yourself. So down here, there are like 1,500 likely voters. So the margin of the sampling error is plus or minus 2.5%. The percentage points with, 95% confidence interval. So effectively what that's saying to the layman is that this right here has a 95% accuracy level. Because most people have no idea what the fuck that means, right? And most people are not going to actually look at this. They're just going to assume the media's well, I don't know if people actually assume that anymore or not. Like, in my opinion, they don't, but who fucking knows, right? And they're gonna think that that might be like representative when it's not. When we look at that, right? And what is that? So this is just from Wikipedia. You can Google this stuff, and this is the margin of error. The larger the margin of error, the less confidence one should have that a poll result would reflect the result of the survey of the entire population. So essentially, the larger this number, the less accurate it's going to be in terms of representing what the actual population is. And so what this effectively is saying that like 1,500 people surveyed in a biased way, could be on a telephone, right? And if you click over here, you can actually see how some of these surveys are done. I'm not going to get into that in this video. We can do that in another one, so make sure you press that like button or let me know down below, and I can do one on that. But sometimes they're actually calling people on the phone. They're actually calling people on the phone on landlines. Yeah. You're going to only get that portion of the population that, first of all, has a landline. Second of all, is going to even pick up the fucking landline to do that. Right, so it's going to be super, super biased. and then you're saying it's 95% accurate based on 1,500 people when you have 330 plus million people in the country. So I found this interesting research. This is out of the University of Ithaca. This is from 2017, and this is from Peter, Julius, and Jonathan, research they did. And I wanted to highlight this here, where there's an existence of a hidden Trump supporters. Now, what that research goes into is that they theorize that because the media is incredibly, we'll just call it one-sided with their portrayal of reality, right? Because the media, we know, doesn't have like the truth as the beacon that they're striving forward towards every day. They're not trying to be accurate in the representation of the world. They're not trying to be objective. They're not trying to be honest, right? They have other things they're trying to accomplish. And because of that, if somebody were to say, I support Trump, there's a judgment that is out there through the manipulation of people's minds, because that's literally what it is. Think about what an advertisement is for a second. Why would, say, this is a Pixel phone, right? I don't know who makes it or who manufactures it, but it's a Google phone. So say Google gets an ad to advertise their Pixel phone, and they advertise it on a network of some sort, right? That ad is to do what? It's to tell a story about how great this phone is, to manipulate somebody's mind to think they need that phone, right? They need to tell a story so that people think that this is the best thing and they should go buy that phone versus an iPhone, or this phone versus some other Samsung phone, or this phone versus an LG phone, right? Like, this is the phone you should get. So the idea of an ad is to tell a story to shape the perception of the target market, and yet that's all the media does. So when somebody comes out and says that they're a Trump supporter, all they're doing is getting judged because there's only one side of data getting presented. It's all getting twisted to show one side. So when that happens, not everybody cares to get judged. Not everybody wants to stand up to some people judging them all the time. So they just don't participate in the surveys. So getting back into what we're actually going to be talking about, we wanted to know what the fuck was actually going on. Like, where we live, reality. We want to understand what people are actually interested in. And we're going to use data to do that. So this site is called Social Blade. We take 2 data points off of here, and then we take 1 off of Google Trends. So the first one we take a look at is the total number of subscribers to Joe Biden's YouTube channel or Donald Trump's YouTube channel. And we use subscribers because I know that it could be a little cloudy, right? Like, you could definitely have people that support Joe Biden who subscribe to Donald Trump. Not my preference. Like, if I don't care for somebody, and you can tell the emotional charge is there in this country just by what the media puts out. So there is some degree of people who take the time, like the only thing in life without value, and they go consume somebody else's content that they do not care about, they actually probably dislike very much, if not hate, strong word, right? And they'll take the most precious thing in life, their time, and they'll go consume somebody else's content. Blows my mind, yeah? Like, I have fucking better things to do with my time. But there's just some people who do that. However, we've got data points here with tens of thousands of numbers here versus, let me go back over here for a second. Right, this is from Mammoth. It's got 733 people, or 1,500 people, or the biggest one here from CNBC, 1,663 people versus tens of thousands. So the next data point, which actually gives us an understanding of like how many people are actually paying attention, is the total number of views over the last 30 days. So here you can see for Trump, it's 7.5 million, right? And that's going to give us an idea. Again, there is going to be some people who despise Biden who still fucking watch his shit. I don't understand that because I have better things to do with my time than go watch somebody that I don't like, right? Or there's going to be people who watch Trump who fucking hate Trump, and it blows my mind because I just don't understand, right? That's people love wasting their lives away doing shit that's not important to them, and then they wonder why they don't ever achieve anything in life. Look in the fucking mirror. So we use that as the next indicator. Now the last one actually comes from Google Trends. Now Google Trends tracks all of the searches on YouTube. YouTube is the #2 site in the planet, meaning it is the most popular site, second most popular site in the planet. It's also the second largest search engine in the planet. So what you can do is you can search for Donald Trump and Joe Biden over the last 30 days, so it's relevant to this, on YouTube in the United States. So what that means, every search for Donald Trump, every search for Joe Biden in the United States over the last 30 days on YouTube. And the collective of that, because we don't have the sheer volume, all we can do is as a percentage, like who has more searches relative to the other person. So let's take a look at these numbers. Starting here, we have, and we did this on July 1st as well. So if you want to see the Instagram rankings or the Twitter rankings or the Google rankings, go back to the channel, watch those. Also, share this with somebody who also appreciates actually seeing what reality is and the truth. So we can see here that Donald Trump went from 75,000 subscribers over the last 30 days to 61,000, where Biden went from 14.2 to 13.4. So they both dropped. Trump had a much larger drop here, 14,000. Trump's drop in subscribers was the total amount of subscribers that Biden had. But Biden had a less of a decrease in terms of the total volume. He had like 800 person drop in subscriber count, but they both dropped. Now, in terms of the total number of views on their videos over the last 30 days, we have 7.3 on the first to 7.5, so about a 220, 218, 15,000 increase in terms of views for Trump, and a substantial amount for Biden. So Biden's picking up steam here. He had a 1.2, a little bit like less than that, like 1.9 and change million more views here, which is awesome for him. Or no, I'm sorry, 1.1 and change, 1.1 million and change, right? So he's had a big increase in the amount of attention. So that can come from putting out a lot more content, saying something intelligent, saying something idiotic, or just a lot more media coverage, propping something up, right? And then the last one here is the aggregate of the search volume. So we didn't include this on the first, but we included it here now. So this is the total amount of search volume between Donald Trump and Joe Biden. And Trump had 66% of the total search volume, where Joe Biden had about 34% of the search volume. So let's take a look at these in relation to each other to understand, right? Because if we look at what like mainstream's putting out, we get this story over here on the left, where according to all 8 of these organizations, Biden's winning, right? But there's no mention of any biases. There's no mention of any like issues at all with how this is done, or the tiny, teeny little fraction of sample sizes. Remember, that's 0.00005 something for 1,500. It's a tiny fraction of the population. Or we have like 61,000 people who have subscribed to Donald Trump's channel over the last 30 days. That's just 30 days, right? So when we look at these two in relation to each other, right, about 4 to 1. So that means there's about 4 people who subscribe to Donald Trump versus 1 for Biden. More than that, actually. In terms of views, this is where Biden does a good job here, but it's still like, say, 1.4, 1.6 or something like that in terms of 1.5, we'll just call it, views for Trump versus 1 view for Biden over here. And then the search volume on YouTube, that's 2 to 1, meaning there's 2 searches for Donald Trump for every 1 search of Joe Biden. Now, these could be cloudy, meaning, as I mentioned earlier, there's probably plenty of people who don't like one candidate or the other who search for that candidate. Right? There's probably plenty of people out there who love wasting their time and watching other people's content when they could actually make their life better, and they consume somebody else's content. Yeah, I don't know, it blows my mind too. I just don't get that. And then there's probably, maybe the subscriber is actually the most accurate one. I don't know. Love to hear what your thoughts are down below in the comment section. Don't forget to subscribe on your way down there. But this, based on millions of data points, paints a different picture than what's over here on the left. So what's actually going on? You can look at, like, when your boss is standing over your shoulder, how's your behavior? You can think of that, right? Because you don't want to get judged, right? If you're sitting there on your phone watching a YouTube video of somebody you don't like, or what's your behavior like when your boss is on vacation? Meaning, you have, like, when your boss is specifically watching you versus reality when your boss is actually doing his job, doing something else. What's going on? And we have reality over here on the right, and then we have this stuff over here on the left. I don't need to pick. You're an intelligent human being. You can decide for yourself. And in that deciding, if you found value in this video, make sure you share this with somebody so we can spread this message. If you don't want to share the video, cool, fine. It does help the channel out. And if you're like, fuck this dude, I don't want to actually share this video, but I do agree with the message, share the message, because that's the important part. If you want to support the channel and help grow this message even faster, share this video with somebody. Appreciate it. If you guys want to come over to Twitter or Instagram and say what's good, there's links down below in the description. We're going to be releasing more videos all week, so make sure you press that subscribe button and the bell notification so YouTube will notify you when I post a video. Peace. Appreciate you guys.